If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers, and welcome to this podcast special. I've recently been up to Cumbria with New Balance to test a load of kit, and while there I got the opportunity to chat to 3 of the brand's athletes, Kate Avery, Zak Hanna and Jacob Adkin. Kate has represented Britain and Europe at a number of both track and cross-country events. She's been at the Commonwealth Games, she's been at the European Cross Country Championship, she won the NCAA Cross Country, and she won the UTA 50 kilometres. Zak Hanna has a number of achievements under his belt, including becoming 5th at the 2022 World Mountain and Trail Running Championships, 5th at the European Mountain Running Championships, 3rd overall at the Mountain Running World Cup, and 1st at the Matterhorn Ultraks Vertical. Jacob Adkin is a fell runner, a mountain runner and a trail runner, and he's had gold and silver individual medals at European Mountain Running Championships. In this podcast, I'll be chatting to them about their races, their training, and the kit that they use to do that. Right, let's dive in and see what we spoke about. Okay, so I'm here with not one but 3 New Balance athletes, Zak Hanna, Kate Avery and Jacob Adkin. Now, we are currently on a retreat with New Balance to test some new kit. So we're going to chat today about you guys, your training, your races, what you're up to at the moment, and we're going to talk a little bit about the kit that we're testing and your favourite kit from New Balance. So let's start with Zak. What are you up to at the moment and what's your focus in training?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. I think at the minute I'm just training in between races and based back at home here now and back in Northern Ireland, so I'm just training, enjoying running with my dog and just not doing a whole lot really.
And what is your main area of events that you normally are training for?
Mostly uphill and VK races, but this summer I've tried to move up into like 20, 25k distances, sort of trying to branch out a bit. But if you were to ask me what my favourite is, it is the VK and the uphill races.
I've never tried a VK.
Yeah, they are savage. They are, like, even Jacob could vouch for them in that one. They're the hardest 35, 40 minutes of running you probably ever do.
How does somebody get into VK? Where do you go from to decide that that's the thing you want to try?
I just enjoy running uphill. I think that's...
I think it's a good question because it's such like a niche sport. And I think, yeah, if you're thinking about trying it, I'd also ask that question of how do you get into it and where are the events? Because, I don't know, I was lucky enough to just have people help me and they're like, try this race, try that race. But yeah, it's very niche if you just do road running or track running. Like how do I...
Yeah, I don't even know how... I mean, people who listening to this podcast who maybe aren't trail runners, aren't off-road runners, they would probably just think a trail's a trail, but there's such a complicated selection of events, selection of races. And VK is one that I wouldn't even think of as adding into that list of options of races that you could do.
I think the UK in particular, it's not set in tradition as it is on the continent in Europe, where uphill races, not necessarily VK, but uphill specific races are way more common, and it's where the term mountain running, I suppose, started.
Yes.
We've got fell running started in the UK, and that is defined by an up and down race. There's only there's less than 5 probably uphill races in the UK, and some of them are not, they're put on for trial races for the kind of the championship races, which a lot of people, for obvious reasons, maybe may not want to do. So
yeah.
But as you say, there's a whole expansive range of disciplines now to almost segmentation of trail running itself now.
Yeah.
Because everyone from the athlete to a race organizer to sponsors want to have a portion of the cake.
Yes. And do you all race VK?
I think it's just mainly Zak and me.
Okay.
Yeah. Could persuade Kate to do some at some point.
I've done a few uphill races, which, by the way, is not a VK, as I learned as I entered a VK. And I was like, yeah, I've done a bunch of these before. And we spoke about which ones they were. And they were like, no, you have not done a VK. So I've done one, and I haven't rushed back.
So I'm quite interested in this VK stuff because I've never really spoken to her about it. Where are the big famous VKs? I know I've been to Chamonix. Is there one there?
Yeah, Chamonix VK for the Marathon du Mont Blanc weekend. Myself and Jacob have actually both won that one. Where's the other big ones?
There's one in France called La Folie. I think that's where the world records are usually set. I think it is currently. But that's, I think it's up there's an old mining railway track, and the runners have to wear a helmet because of potentially falling rock and stuff from this like track that not many people would go up for this race. So so the pictures are quite funny from it. It's like a bit odd, but
it's not a race that you want to make even harder, is it?
No.
No, well, you have to use poles in it too. I don't think you're allowed to enter without poles, which has put me off it. There's a Chiavenna in Italy. Has a very famous one as well. Dolomites, is that a famous Dolomites VK?
I think it's popular. Yeah, I think it's not a quick one, but
Italy's the main hub for the VKs. It's Italy and France.
Yeah.
But there's that many, and I'd say like the Chamonix one would be one of my favourites. Really, really enjoy that one.
Yeah, I mean it's not a straightforward. It's hard enough to just run up 1,000 meters under 5k, but it's another thing when they add a bit of technicality to it, and in regards to the Chamonix one, that's got some like via ferrata at the top, and the path is quite like eroding away quite a bit near the top as well. So
yeah,
it's adds challenge to the already.
We'll move on from VKs a bit because we've completely delved into this, but I'm still quite interested in it. So for you guys who don't live in one of these countries that is famous for having VKs, how do you train for it where you live?
Just multiple reps of a same hill. I think you can get a lot from some supplemental training, for example, like gym work or bike work. But yeah, ultimately you can't beat running up a steep hill that's specific to the terrain you will race on or want to race on. So yeah. And then otherwise, if you are lucky enough to travel out to, go on holiday to a more mountainous place in Europe, then that's your chance to kind of bash out some lots of meters in a week and try and strengthen up.
All right, well, maybe we'll do another podcast at some point just on VKs because I have lots more questions. But question so you guys, you both you've always been trail runners. You've always been focused on the outdoor stuff. Kate, did you start as only doing track, or did you do trail and track at the same time and move into trail?
I think I started like a lot of people do it at school. Everybody has to do a school cross country. And I did that, and then since I was 13 when I started running, I've only ever done track and cross country, and then it was just the past couple of years that I transitioned into trails. And
why did you do that?
It was, it's something that I was watching from afar, and I was intrigued by it, and if I'm honest, I'd thought about it for years before I made that change. And it was actually Pete Riley, who I work with at New Balance, that we had a call after one of the European crosses. And he said, we're like trying to set up this team. And he's like, go away and think about it. I was like, I don't need to think about it. I'm doing it. And he's like, no, go. And I was like, no, I don't need to. And that was that.
Wow. Okay. And is that something, trail running, it's changed quite a lot over the past 10, 15 years. It's become much more noticeably, it's something that people want to do now as opposed to the old days. It was more like fell running and things like that. It was based on location. But was the widespread interest in trail running a big factor in that as well?
I think it just evolving as a sport, and social media has done a massive part in that, and being able to see it and see the different races, the different locations and the atmosphere. I think yeah, or for me, like I didn't grow up in a family that went out for walks like Jacob was talking about earlier and out in nature and doing that kind of stuff. So it's very different. So I think, yeah, just the sport growing and social.
It's definitely a sport that lends itself quite well to social media, I find. Whereas track isn't necessarily one that's particularly. Once you've maybe posted a few pictures of track, you can't just keep posting them.
Do you know what I think? I was in St. Moritz earlier, and people run around the tracks and the flat trails, and they're all like, "Oh, look at the mountains," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm running in the mountains. You guys are just looking at them." But yeah, it's a special sport.
So, thinking back to when you were very focused on the track side of things, how do you think the mental aspect of training for track is different than training for the trails?
It's like, I find it, obviously you're still doing your hard sessions. It's still hard. Whatever you're training for, whether it's an 800 meters or 100 mile on the trails, it's hard. There's still aspects to train, but it's different. It's a different intensity. The focus on paces isn't as strong. Like, that's not to say that I don't want to hit a certain pace in my track sessions or my tempos and stuff like that. It's obviously still a focus, but it's not the be all and end all now. And I just enjoy the training so much more. Yeah, I mean, I've done both, and mentally it's a very big difference between those two types of running. So it's interesting you've gone from track to trail, because they're quite extremes, really. It's not just road to trail, is it? You've actually gone from the one location to the most beautiful locations in the world. Yeah.
With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows the resourceful individual to earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Get the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth for just $5 a month. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about running achievements. So you've all between you done a lot of races. You've won races between you. What would you say? Let's go through each of you. Zach, what would you say is your biggest running achievement to date?
Probably 5th in the World Mountain Running Championships in 2022. Going into that race, I was going well that season, but to be honest with you, top 10 was probably the goal, but to finish 5th was just like, where the hell did that come out of? But it was just, couldn't believe it.
What were you expecting when you went into that race? Where do you think you'd come?
I said top 10 was like, top 10 would have been a real good run. Top 15 would have been like satisfying, but like whenever I was able to get over, and like it was only like 15 seconds off a bronze medal.
Wow.
I was like, whoa, like, where do you pull that 15 seconds out of? Like, even though I was buzzing with the race, you're still thinking like, where could I have maybe pulled back that 15 seconds? But no, I'm absolutely delighted with that result. But it always just leaves you wanting more nearly.
Does that mean you're gonna attempt it again? And
well, we'll see. To be honest with you, every year, like, it's all changed now. It used to be every year you had a World and European Championships, where now it's changed to biannual. So next year's a World Championships, whereas this year in 2024 was Europeans. So is it September 2025 is the next World Championships in Canfranc in the Pyrenees. So it's going to be a different ball game, because the last World Championships in Thailand, 2022, were in Thailand, and all three of us were there, and that was probably a trip of a lifetime.
I bet.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, that.
So how about you then, Jacob?
I don't know if you allow this, but like,
you can have anything you want.
Okay, because like in terms of, I don't know, you get like objectively, like statistically, like if you like judging it, I'd say it's like the winning European champs in 2019, and also team gold as well. I think that was the first like senior men's gold for a long time. And it was a group of, well, there was 3 of us who were Scottish, and one of them we were claiming was Scotland because his parents lived in Scotland for a while. So that was like an amazing experience with them and the whole team. But also just another highlight of kind of my career in running so far is just some of the races I've been doing at home. especially like just after lockdowns eased for COVID, and I just stayed in the UK, didn't travel as much. I did some of the fell races again, or new ones as well, and I just found that kind of rejuvenated my enjoyment of the sport and really helped me like mentally and also with training as well. Just gave me a different stimulus.
And these are races that you hadn't done before?
Yeah, some of that I had, but then I tried a few new ones. Like I did some of the English Championship series, and then a couple of like the classic Wednesday night midweek fell races, which are just like so much fun. You know, turn up, pay a fiver, sometimes not even that, and have a good night racing and go to the pub after. Get absolutely eaten by midges sometimes, but all part of the experience. And yeah, there's nothing kind of fulfills kind of your enjoyment of just the pureness of the sport as that. Yeah.
Kate?
I don't know. I've been asked this question a few times, and I actually don't know what event it is that I would pick, because I think they're special for different reasons. But something that I'm very proud of is competing for GB over track, outdoors, indoors, cross, and the trails.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's something I'm really proud of.
Nice. Okay, well let's move on from events. Let's just talk a little bit about training. Nice, easy one for you. I want each of your, well, it doesn't have to be your exact favourite training session, but give me a training session that you really like to do.
I actually done this one last Tuesday at Cumbrony Forest, which isn't far from me. It was 5 minutes uphill, 5 minutes down on the same hills on a section of trail called the Zigzags. I was like 0.7 mile long, just over a K, averaging like 19-20%. So roughly 8 minutes up, and you turn, and then you don't go full tilt on the way down. Sort of like go with an effort that you're not going to completely bust yourself for turning to come back up, but it's roughly an hour long. I covered 10k and I just got over 1,000 meters of climbing. So like that for me is like really good specific stuff.
So that's 5 minutes up a pretty steep hill.
No, 8 minutes up.
8 minutes up a steep hill, and then 5 minutes comfortably down.
Yeah. Are you going back to the aim to get back to the start in 5 minutes?
Back down to the same spot you started at, and then you do that 5 times.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So
that's completely dependent on where you're at the time, because that session could be...
It can be horrible, or if you're going well, it can be good. Well, thankfully last Tuesday was feeling good, so it actually went better than what I expected. But then as well, you move on to the flat. I love a good like 10 by K. It's just something about that, especially whenever I'm doing that with my mates, like when all four of us are going well. It's just one of them sessions that when you finish it, you're like, that was class.
Do they join you for the uphill one as well?
Not a chance. No. If they've seen me, they wouldn't even get out of the car if they've seen that session now, so that says it all. But no, I think it's good to have a range of both hilly and flat sessions to enjoy, because then you can sort of mix things up depending on how you're feeling and what stage of the season you're at.
And depending on where you are at the time and what you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on then, Kate.
Yeah, I guess like there's a mixture of sessions, but I like a trail, like an undulating tempo trail session. Just the one that you can flow on. I quite enjoy long tempos. Yeah. But then I also do love like a 16 or 20 by 400 on the track still.
Oh, that's good.
So, a right mix.
Jacob.
Probably a combination of both of those. Yeah, I think the good thing about doing more trail running, mountain running, putting that into your training plan or aiming for races in that discipline is that you get so much more variety in your what sessions you do. Therefore, you actually enjoy sessions more because you're not doing, say, a couple of flat sessions a week and doing that week in, week out. You're actually doing maybe one hill session, one flat session, so you actually look forward to the other one come the next week. But yeah, so like as they say, I enjoy like a hill session, so that's probably for me like a long uphill broken into reps but with uphill jog recoveries, so it kind of quite specific to
uphill jog recoveries.
Yeah,
it's not something many people are gonna
or walk if it's particularly steep, but you obviously lower the intensity in that recovery time period, but you continue uphill. Obviously that requires either a long a big hill, or you do it on the treadmill or Stairmaster. So if you really want to be a run influencer, you got to go on the Stairmaster for those uphill sessions. So yeah, or like nice 400-meter track session, something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump into kit then. So we're here testing a load of kit, or I'm testing a load of kit. You guys have already tested most of the kit, I imagine. So you're all New Balance athletes. You all do relatively similar events from the perspective of the kit that you use for a general runner to look at. What would each of you say is based on the type of running you do and the events you do, what is the shoe of choice for you? Or the shoes of choice for your training? Jacob, do you want to start that?
Yeah. So for me, my go-tos off the shoe rack would be the Hero, which is on the V8 at the moment, and the Venom, which is the new one to the line this summer.
And we were talking about the Venom on the run, and I was a bit confused about this because the Venom hasn't been particularly well. It's just come out of the summer, hasn't it? But it's a shoe that I didn't know a lot about. And it looks very much like the Rebel V4, doesn't it? It's like a trail version of the Rebel V4. Yeah. Exciting looking shoe, very interesting. I think a lot of people love the Rebel V4, so it's interesting. What is it about that shoe that you like?
So it's a lot lighter than some of the other shoes in the range, especially the Hero. So it lends itself to being a more of a session up-tempo shoe. And if you're doing an uphill or hill session, you want maybe something that's a bit more lightweight. So it just fits the bill really in that regard. And it carries over, like you say, the technology from the roadside. So it is technically the Rebel trail, but it adds a little bit of a grip on the outsole to help with the trails. So yeah.
And what would be the main? Is it using this for racing? Are you using it for just training?
Depends on the race. So if it was a shorter race, I'd probably use the Venom. If it was a longer race, 15k plus, I'd probably go for the SC trail, Supercom trail. So that's just a bit more cushion to it and a bit more kind of sturdy shoe with the carbon plate as well. But it's quite a nice it doesn't quite feel like a carbon plated shoe. You wouldn't have thought it if you weren't told it. So I think in that regard, it doesn't pound your legs too much. Like, it doesn't force you into certain positions as much as another carbon plate shoe would. It's quite a nice kind of balance there.
I've just had a go with the shoe, and it definitely is a more subtle. Feels quite light. Feels really light when you're running on it. But it is. You're right. It's a subtle plate in there that doesn't necessarily. If you told me it didn't have a plate in, I probably wouldn't have questioned you. Yeah,
I think it's just all about that midsole's just really quite good. It does a lot of the job for it. And the carbon plate is forked as well, so it can kind of move laterally as well.
More flex. Yeah. Cool. Okay, Zach, hit me. What have you got?
Say the daily shoe would be the Hero V8 or the 1080, because not every day is on the trail. Some days you just like to mix up and go on the road. The Fresh from More X trail, I just love that shoe just for easy days. I think when you're in the middle of a big training block and your legs are just tired, it just seems to be that shoe you're able to go out and you don't. Yeah, obviously your legs are tired, but it just seems to rejuvenate the muscles nearly. As well for racing, it's probably the SC Trail over the longer stuff, and the Venom for the uphills or the shorter races, and maybe Summit Unknown soft ground if I'm racing at home, because the 6.5 mil lugs, and it just allows for when you're tromping through the bogs and over the real rocky ground. It's like the shoe hasn't let me down yet running around the moorns, and like if it can cope in the moorns, it can cope anywhere. So it's like that's the one shoe that I always make sure that I have ready to go, because just for the weather changing, especially over the winter, it's like always at hand. And I don't really chop and change too much shoes. I stick to what I know. I'm not going to change something just because I fancy a different shoe. It has to be each shoe has a purpose. That's the beauty of it. Each shoe has a purpose, and then you sort of know for what's coming up next. Right, well, I'm going to need that shoe for this session. And that's really it.
Mine's exactly the same as Zach's.
Oh, right, okay.
The only thing that I'd add into that is I actually wear the SC Elites for my flat sessions. I just put the road shoe on. I want to feel good. I want to run fast. But yeah.
We're talking about road as well, are we?
We're talking about training.
Yes, the Elite V4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would add that in the mix of like my training cycle, but yeah, I'd race in the SC trail ones. They're my go-to.
Yeah.
I like them. Long runs would be in the Hieros.
Are you using the More X?
Yes.
Okay, because Jacob, you've not picked the More X. Is that just because the style of your running, maybe it doesn't need that much cushioning?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of big stacks, and or to be honest, I've not actually tried the Bull X. So that's I might be, I can't judge until I do try, but in general, in the past and up to now, I'm not a big one for the maximal cushion shoes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they've not got a place and people wouldn't suit them, but for me, I kind of prefer I like to feel the ground basically.
Okay. All right. Last question. Nice and simple. If you could do any race in the world,
that's not a simple one.
what would you pick? Just hit. You don't need to go to too much depth with this.
Does it have to be a race or event, or can it be like
event, race, anything you want to do that is a challenge, anything that you maybe as part of your career later on you go, that's something I'd like to tick off. Might even be something that you might not even ever be able to do.
Bob Graham round.
Good choice.
No. I'm
you can't even do it. You can't even do 20k yet, mate.
Exactly. I'm suggesting that you do it. He's the Kendrick man.
No, I don't know. I mean, the kind of big rounds in the UK, they're quite like, they are iconic, and it would be cool to do them, but I'm not sure that would be my top pick. And I'm trying to think of my top pick right now.
All right.
But yeah, Kate's got something.
I'm going to be boring and say UTMP. At some point, not anytime soon, I would really like to do the miler.
She's out there for next year.
Like the Bob Graham does not appeal to me at all. Like the fell running might upset a few people there. Does not appeal to me in the slightest. Very different to trail races. But yeah, boring. But I'd really like to.
It's not a boring race.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
What about you guys?
I'm still thinking. I think to be honest with you, that's the beauty of trail running and mountain running, fell running, whatever it is. Everyone, a road runner, you ask what's the event? It's going to be New York. It's going to be London. There's like 3 or 4 events everyone wants to do, but I don't think you're going to get a trail runner who everyone's going to have the same answer. There's Kate wants to do UTMB. I have no notion of ever doing UTMB. Don't know what you want.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob's the same. So it's like there's 3 of us of 3 different answers. Won't do the same. But that's such a hard one to pick. If it's not a race, I would love to just take like a week and do the UTMB route over a week.
Just want to do it.
What I would love to do, it just with a group of friends, stand in the refuges and bring my dog with me.
Oh, you poor dog.
I would love to bring my dog and just, as I say, it's just going out into the mountains with your friends and just having a good time.
Yeah.
But I don't know what race is kind of.
That's fine. You can have that. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I can't really think of a race. There's too many to think of. That's the honest answer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I think the more the challenge side of the sport is quite cool, I think. And like, there's a good kind of route in Scotland called the Cairngorms 4000ers. And it's kind of one that my coach and I thought we'd do like end of 2020 as like a post-COVID-y type challenge, just getting back out and doing something cool.
What is that?
So it's the 4,000 feet. Is it the 4,000 feet mountains in the Cairngorms?
Yeah.
So how many of them is again?
I've got no idea.
Yeah, I've forgotten now.
I've never even thought about doing it.
So yeah, something like that, and like exploring an area of your kind of home country that you've not been to before, over a course of a certain amount of time. It's kind of quite appealing.
Nice. Very different answers than you would get, as you say, from road runners who probably have a very strict list of things they all want to do. Well, brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. It was really interesting and great to chat to you about kit and races and training and all sorts of things. So Thanks a lot, and good luck with hopefully the races you get to do over the next year or so.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.